Okay, let's see if this works. Orientation is locked. Rotate device back. Oh, sorry guys, hold on. Okay, that's vertical. Can I go? It's locked. Why? That's not good. Sorry guys. Is this showing as vertical for you guys? I assume. That's frustrating. That wasn't. Oh. No, okay. Whoops. Okay, I'm just gonna have to adjust. Hold on. Sorry gang. Yeah, I wasn't intending this to be vertical, but it is apparently, and I can't seem to change it. So, yes. Okay. Not going to plan. I wonder if that was a setting on scheduling it, because I got my brother to schedule it for me. Oh, holy cow, your hair is straight. Yes, I know. Oh, me and my hair have been having like a midlife crisis together. So I am wearing my hair straight for only the second time in like four years, something like that. It's pretty crazy. But I've kind of recently realised that it doesn't really make sense to just have one hairstyle that I can do, which also happens to be quite unpredictable. So yes, I am in fact the owner of a pair of straighteners now for the first time in like, again, like probably like 4 years, maybe 5, something like that. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's complicated. So, okay, I'll leave it up to you guys. Like, I can give you the hair story if you're interested. I don't know that it's particularly interesting, but like I can talk about it if you want me to. But otherwise, I will just catch up with what else is going on. So, yes, hello, everyone. I've also got my laptop with the chat here, so hopefully I'm not too scattered going between these. But yes, hi, sorry, welcome to what's hopefully going to be a chill Q&A. I have some pear and cinnamon tea, which is from a Polish grocer, and I've also added clove to it. Have I spoken about this before, about clove tea? I might have. Clove tea is now my go-to for doing like live streams or live teaching and stuff. Because it is mildly numbing. So if you have a sore throat, like I sometimes do from like speaking for a long time, it's really good for that. Yeah, pear and cinnamon is quite unusual, isn't it? Like I picked it up just because I was browsing around and like I say, like a Polish grocer. I was like, ooh, I've never seen that before. It's good. It is good. Okay, cool. Yes, we're gonna get into some questions. So this is your first call. Do you have a question for me? Has there been something on your mind that you'd like me to ramble on? I do have one from Audrey, I think, from the Discord, which I do need to remember to go back and check. But yes, so we had one, I think, okay, one person said hair story. Yes, cool. Cool, yes, good question. Okay, I think the first question, oh, Siri's here as well, great, is, do you have any advice for someone who's both new to practicing witchcraft and has to keep it a secret? So, that's quite, do I have any advice? I don't know if I am, like I can obviously talk about my experience, but I don't know that I have specific advice. I think the first thing, just like for someone new to practicing witchcraft, my main advice would just be to not, I don't know, one of the main issues or problems I see like newer witches coming up against online a lot is just like feeling like there's these very clear like black and white, like right and wrong ways to do things, and that's just not how I see it at all. Obviously depends on your paradigm. If you take everything very literally and you believe that everything in witchcraft is like very literally and supernaturally true, then those kinds of things certainly like matter more. But the way it depends on your paradigm. Like I personally see, like as I've spoken about, I think maybe in the last Q&A, I see witchcraft and magic as like a helpful fiction, you know, something that my subconscious believes is real, even if my conscious mind doesn't always believe that it's real. I see it as a kind of psychological tool, and therefore I am world building when I think about how spells work and how I want to design my practice and stuff. I'm essentially doing what I think of as kind of like fantasy world building, but for real life. And so it means that I can decide what is a useful way for things to work in my paradigm. And it means that when people say really like hard black and white things, like you should never work with this deity, or you should never use rosemary in that context, or whatever like that, I'm always just like, okay, for you. So I think the I guess the central kind of piece of advice that I'm trying to formulate with that is take what interests you, leave the rest, you know, learn, but don't feel like you have to get everything right, or that you can't do things until you've learned exactly how it is, or that there's one right way to do things, because that's not how witchcraft works. It's DIY spirituality, in my opinion, anyway. So that's what I would say about being new to it. Like, don't feel like you need to explore every different area and become really proficient in every different area. Just pursue what interests you, like follow that as far as it takes you. Allow yourself to just be interested in different things, and like if you only want to do candle magic and you don't care about anything else for a while, that's totally fine. And then in terms of keeping it secret, I don't know if I have much useful to say on that, to be honest. I kept it secret or kept it very close to my chest, I guess, for several years. How long was that even? Would have been what? 2010, and then I had a big break, and then I kind of came back to it, I think 2016, 2017, 2018, who knows. So if you have to keep it secret, I guess like the one thing I would say about that is just to feel like it is helpful to obviously to engage with the work of witches, you know, in books or online and stuff, just because it's really nice to feel like you're not you're not alone in it. Like when I first started practicing, there wasn't an online community really around it and stuff, and I felt very alone in my interests, and I could never find really anyone or anything that kind of matched up with how I saw things in that kind of psychological model. And I think it, like that feeling of like breaking away from what is like normal or normative definitely gave me some weird feelings and stuff at times, but I think like eventually, yeah, so I guess I would say like even if it makes the most sense to keep things to yourself for now because you know that people around you might not understand, know that there's nothing shameful about it. Just like it's a strategic decision to keep that from people because you just don't trust them with that information. And I think like there's this, for me at least, when I was keeping something to myself, like it almost made me feel like because I was keeping it to myself, therefore it was shameful. But I don't think that's how it should be. It can just be like a pragmatic decision to keep it to yourself. And yeah, I don't know, in some ways it's weird being kind of out as a witch. Like, you know, all of my stuff is online. My own family doesn't really talk to me about it at all. And sometimes we have disagreements and stuff about it as well because they just don't really understand. But I'm still willing to pay that price to be able to speak about it online because it's obviously something I'm passionate about. That said, my family is not like super fundamentalist religious or anything like that, so it's not like there's any danger from them knowing about it. They just don't really get it. That was a very long answer to that question, but I hope that yeah, I hope that makes sense or offers some insight. Okay, coming back to chat and questions. Oh right, I'm gonna do Audrey, or is it Aubrey? I can never remember. Audrey's question before I forget. So Audrey said, I'll be late to the Q&A today, but I'll do my best to catch up. If my question happens to be on topic at any point before I get there, I was hoping to ask about constellation clarity. What is the 30-minute alumni overspill? Great question, hopefully a quick one, just a little bit of housekeeping. So for anyone who doesn't know, my course Constellation Clarity is open at the moment for at least another week. It's my course on like getting your organizational shit together and dealing with like the overwhelm of everything that you want to do. And yeah, so I released the new schedule. We're now breaking it over 2 days instead of just doing it in one. And we have a 30-minute overspill at the end of each session for alumni. So basically we had a good amount of our alumni from last time I ran the course were excited to be able to join it again and like redo it and revisit the material. The limiting factor on that for me was that like I want to be able to answer every single question that someone has in the live class. The more people there are, the more questions there are, the harder that is for me to actually like stay on schedule. Like even running it last time, I hadn't anticipated that like 40 people have more questions than 2 people, which is how I tested it. And so we ended up running quite significantly over time, which was quite tiring for me, as fun as it was. So I wanted to be able to have alumni back, but I wanted to be able to prioritize questions from new students to make sure that they're getting the material and not having to like wait and it's not like becoming super long. So I decided alumni are welcome to come join us for this next session as well, but I'm going to ask them to reserve all their questions for the 30 minutes of overspill we have at the end. So we've got 2 4-hour sessions of like one each day, one on Saturday and one on the Sunday, and then once we finish that, if there are alumni around and they want to ask questions and they want to chat and stuff, then we'll have 30 minutes just dedicated to that at the end. And obviously if people want to go before then they can. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. And yes, okay. Oh, sorry, that was me accidentally jolting that teaspoon. Okay. Dale asks, how are you liking your new living situation? It's really good. It's very good. There's still so much to figure out. It still feels like I just got here in a way, even though I've been here for like, has it already been a month? That's crazy. Yes. Yeah, for the most part, it's been really lovely. It's really nice not living by myself anymore. It's really nice being able to see Pete more regularly and stuff. And I think for the most part, we are good at like collaborating, right? Like, which is a lot of what cohabitating is. So there's a lot of ways that we like to do things differently, but I think we're quite good at like compromising and chatting through it and be like, okay, well, if I do this thing this way for you, then can we compromise on this thing or whatever? So yeah, there have been teething issues at times, which I would expect of anything really. But yeah, for the most part, it's really good. I think really the main stress that's still remaining is that so I've done like a rough unpack, which means that basically all of my boxes are like roughly unpacked into like the general areas where things are going to go. But the only place where I've actually gone in and done like a full KonMari organization, I don't know if you guys can hear that bird. Next door has a bird. The only place where I've done the full organisation thing is the kitchen. Everything else is just kind of around. Still on a main road, as you can hear, the siren. So yeah, so there's still a lot of things lying around. There she goes. We've got a ton of boxes, like empty boxes and stuff for organising, and that's still in the hallway. We've got Pete's old mattress that we still need to get rid of. We're giving it to a friend. We need to drop that off. There's like an old TV that's broken that we need to get rid of and stuff. So there's like, there's a lot of things like around. So it doesn't feel like a very peaceful space yet, which is, it's functional, but it's not like aesthetic and well organised and like where I want it to be. But there's only so much time in the day, you know, so we're chipping away at that. But yeah, it's frustrating when I'm trying to work from home as well, because it makes it very hard to focus, because there's always stuff I could be doing on the house. So yeah, I've had to be like, no, I actually genuinely need to leave the house, otherwise I'm not going to get any work done, because it's too distracting having all this stuff here. Yeah, like Britta says we moved house in June and boxes are still everywhere. Nothing seems really set yet except for maybe the bathroom. Yeah, so our bathroom doesn't have any clothes storage, doesn't have any storage. There's a little shelf and that's it. And I hate it. So I've been really looking for like some kind of clothes storage solution, like a cabinet or something we can put in there, because I just want that stuff away. Like bathroom stuff is not cute. I don't want to display it. I don't really want open shelving. I just want it to be away and organised and usable, you know. But we just haven't been able to find anything. We did an IKEA trip. We did like some secondhand, like, you know, looking around secondhand furniture places and stuff, and it's just a really it's a very damp room. It doesn't have like an extractor fan or whatever, so I don't want to put something really nice and wooden in there because it'll just get damaged. Anyway, that's a whole other ramble, but yeah, we really need some kind of bathroom storage or bathroom cabinet, and I'm not having any luck yet, which is a little bit frustrating. But I'm keeping an eye out, so yes. Okay. Questions. Britta says, with Mabon coming up, what do you typically do for celebration? I don't actually celebrate the Sabbats specifically, so I don't really celebrate Mabon specifically, or Mabon? Mabon? Mabon. Mabon? I'm gonna say Mabon. I tend to take the themes and stuff around these things and then just stretch it out over the whole season so that I can just try and appreciate and celebrate and indulge in the seasonal things like the whole time round, because like trying to constrict things or celebrations and stuff to like a single day just means it never really happens for me. So I am getting excited for autumn, like that turn into it. I think in recent newsletter I talked about how I was excited to kind of revisit some like artistic stuff in my bullet journal instead of just the pure functional planning, and I felt like that was kind of coming from the September vibes. But to be honest, it's still pretty warm here right now for September, like definite late summer vibes still happening. So there's not too much to do. Okay, though there is one thing that I'm very excited to do this year, and that is that I now live near a park where there is a food forest. Didn't even know that was a thing. And they've got tons of apple trees. So I would love to, I probably need to get on this now. I would love to just like look up like how and when are you meant to like forage or pick apples from trees and stuff. Like how do you go about that? Because I would like to do a little bit of apple picking with Pete and make a pie or something. That's like excellent autumn vibes. So that's like my one thing that I have on the agenda this year. But yeah. Oh yeah, Anna had a quick question about SMA. I've been a big slowpoke about finishing up with my SMA work. I'm a note taker. Time is not really an issue, is it? SMA is just the Story Magic Academy. Yep, it's going to be up for as long as I can possibly keep it up. So don't worry, you've got all the time you need on that. Yes. Okay, I will just say also, yes, we are getting more questions. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna answer this most recent one because it's related to what I was just saying about house stuff. How do you balance the feelings of wanting to put things away for aesthetic purposes versus ADHD forgetting you own something as soon as it's out of sight? So I have a partial solution for this, and in some ways I don't think I've got it figured out yet, because like aesthetically and for like stress and relaxation purposes, I would love to have everything away and have like very minimalist, but cute kind of surroundings. When it comes to actually using things and ADHD and stuff, then you kind of need to have everything out, because if I don't see it, then it doesn't exist. My kind of like halfway between that is labeling things. So I try to, so I use like a kind of cross between the KonMari method of tidying and organizing and then the home edit kind of system. The home edit system is very similar to the KonMari, except like more bougie and with more buying clear plastic containers and stuff. They're very similar. The one thing that I think is really worthwhile though from taking away from the home edit system is labeling, right? So they have you like, divide all your stuff into categories, like find specific places to store all those categories, store everything from one category in the same place, preferably in some kind of container or box or drawer or whatever. That's all classic KonMari stuff, but they specifically encourage you to label things, like label each category, each box or whatever. And I started doing that in the kitchen, and it's so helpful. Not only for me to remember where things are and to be able to see what things are like at a glance, but also like if there's anyone else there, anyone else in the house or guests or whatever, like they know where to find things and they know where to put things away because it's all labeled. So for the kitchen, I don't actually label the boxes I have inside the shelves. I actually just put it, I use like a bit of washi tape and I just write on it with like a white or gold pen. I put those labels on the shelves, like just where, like below where the box is or whatever. And that way I probably don't remember everything I have in that category, right? Like one of our categories in the kitchen is like tinned goods, right? Canned goods. We've got like a tray kind of box, right? A finite space for that stuff. I don't remember everything that's in there, but I know that if we have any tinned stuff or I need to look for any tinned stuff, then I know it's all in that box. So then I can just go there, pull it out and see what we have. And that's the best kind of compromise that I've found, is just like making it clear visually what the categories are, not what every individual item inside that is. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Yes. Cool. Okay, right. Yes, sorry. So just to reiterate, hello if you are just joining us. We're doing questions and answers and just general chat and updates. So if you have a question for me on anything, really, feel free to stick it in the chat, and I'm going to pick one that someone has already posted. Patience is drinking sweet tea and said, I'd love to know more about how you started working with Calcifer and working with fictional characters. So that's actually a kind of interesting one, because I don't actually work specifically with Calcifer now or anymore, or kind of retroactively, maybe never. Another siren, classic. So with Calcifer, that kind of started because, like, more than anything, well, first of all, like many people, I fucking love Howl's Moving Castle, and it captures a specific type of kind of domestic magic that like nothing else really really hits for me. Like there's something about that that is just like it just resonates with something in me, and I've never found anything like that. So I've always loved Calcifer as a character, and I also loved the idea, especially once I'd read the book and stuff as well, of like him as basically a kind of house spirit, or you know, a fire demon domesticated as a house spirit. And so when I started thinking about wanting to work with a house spirit myself, that was kind of the most inspiring or the most fun way of looking at it, was like, you know, working with Calcifer. However, maybe not that recently, in the last year-ish, maybe more, I realised like there was something not quite working about the idea of like working with Calcifer as a spirit, like as a fictional, you know, character. There was something that wasn't quite jiving, and I think, and then so there was a kind of moment where it clicked that my house spirit wasn't Calcifer specifically, but basically that was the kind of, it looked the same because they were of the same kind of genus, right? It was the same type of spirit, it was also a fire demon, but like a different individual in that kind of category, you know. So the idea that Calcifer, which I think is true in the book and the film, right? That he's not the only one, he's one of these fallen stars that, you know, so he's not like the only type of spirit like that. So I actually realised that my house spirit, you know, looked very similar and was like the same kind of type of thing, but was a different individual from Calcifer. So that was actually a really cool click where I realised that. And I think is like kind of just a cool concept to keep in mind when you are working with, you know, spirits or beings or, you know, archetypes or witchy things like that, which is that, you know, you don't have to work directly with the thing that you love. It can be a version of a thing. It can be your version of that thing. Yeah. And in terms of working with other fictional characters, I don't know if I actually have. I would like to do more like visits to fictional characters, like on the astral, you know, just go and like hang out and kind of chat to them and stuff, but I don't really know that I've actually done any of that. It tends to be more deities and spirits. But hopefully that makes sense. Cool. So Cowboy Chels asked, I love that video where you mentioned house hour. Is that still your cleaning routine, or have you found something else that works? So I knew that when me and Pete move in together, like all my routines were going to change, right? That's just how things work. So I'm in the process still of like shifting my routines and building new ones, and like, you know, working, like figuring out how our routines work out together and stuff. So I don't actually have a kind of version of house hour, or what I now, same thing, but I renamed it daily domum, my daily domum routine. I don't have my kind of new finalized version of that yet, but I want to have that because it was incredibly useful. It's not going to include quite the same things, because when me and Pete spoke about how we were going to divide labour essentially, or one of the times that we spoke about it, he is quite happy to do dishes. I hate doing dishes, so he was like, I'll just do dishes. I'm probably going to be doing more laundry and stuff, and maybe other things than that. So I'm gonna have to update it, and I haven't done that yet. But I still think that framework is really helpful, of just having like the top priority of like, here are the things that I need to keep moving, to keep functioning, and doing like a set amount of time on that, no matter where I get to. I still really like that structure. Yes. Okay. Okay. Amarine asked, question about ADHD diagnosis. How do you go about getting a diagnosis in the UK? I was made aware I may be ADHD and ASD and I do see things now, but I'm afraid it might all be in my head. Oh, pal, the eternal struggle. Can I ask if you are in the UK? I assume that's why you're asking, because obviously it's very different depending on where you are. Cliff notes, getting a diagnosis through the NHS is very difficult. There's a huge backlog. You're basically looking at months, if not years, to actually get an assessment appointment. And because they have such a backlog, because they're so short-staffed, I got knocked back, and a friend of mine who also clearly has ADHD also got knocked back, and told that, it doesn't seem like we have it, which I do think is just because they don't really want to deal with it, and they don't really want to have to treat as many people. So it's tough. It's tough. Like, that is the reason that I still don't have a diagnosis, and don't really know what I'm doing with that. So going through the NHS, you might as well get a referral if you can. Get on the waiting list. You might as well be waiting on it anyway, rather than not. If you have any interest at all in going through the NHS for that, then do it as soon as possible, because obviously it takes fucking forever. So you might as well be waiting while you're thinking about it. The other option then is going private, which obviously is expensive. And then there can be complications there, because if you get your assessment and you do get a diagnosis, and then you potentially get treatment or medication or whatever, you have to start out by paying for that yourself, because it's private. Eventually you might be able to get the basically the diagnosis transferred over or verified by the NHS if it's been done by a private clinic, and then potentially you can get medication through the NHS, or get it partially funded through that. But I don't really know a lot about how that works, because I haven't done it. So there's not really great options right now, which is quite frustrating, which is part of the reason that I have kind of abandoned that route for now. I'm doing my best to manage things by myself. I would still really like to try medication or Adderall or something at some point to see if it helps me. So I didn't even get to a full assessment. Basically, they just had me fill out a screening form, which also included one of my parents filling out a screening form, and I think sometimes they ask for your employer and stuff as well, but obviously I don't have an employer, and based on that they said they didn't think I had it, which I think might have. My parent wasn't really able to give very detailed chat on what I was like as a kid, because to be honest they had their own shit going on and they weren't really paying much attention to me when I was growing up. So a lot of things that I went through kind of just went completely under the wire, unnoticed, and unfortunately that kind of came through on my forms and stuff as well. Again, also being a woman, not bothering people too much with my struggles, having done fairly well at school, all these classic things which just add up to well, you can't have it then. So yeah, it sucks, but at the same time, having thought about it for years now, having spoken about it to my counsellor and stuff, I'm still pretty secure in my knowledge that this is how my brain works. It's just unfortunate that unless I go private, then that's probably not going to be able to get any more help than that with it. So yeah, sorry for such a bummer answer to that, but yeah, okay. There's so many good questions, you guys. I don't know where to start. Ooh, plum gin as a nod to late summer. That sounds excellent. Cool. Okay, right, let me find a question here. Kath asked, I really enjoyed your latest video, particularly the combination of structure and flexibility. Do you use that elsewhere in your life, and what does that look like? So Kath is talking about the only ritual I use as a witch video, which talked about my altar ritual. I think that general idea of a mix of structure and flexibility does come through in a lot of areas of my life. Nothing, I don't know that I can point to, I think that's my kind of philosophy, really, with a lot of things. It's like enough structure to know what I'm doing, but not so much that I then get bored of it and don't want to do it anymore. In terms of that specific structure of like a kind of opening ritual and then like a play space, kind of free for all, and then like a closing thing, I would really like to try out doing something like that for my creative practice. Not just spiritual stuff. I think that could be a really good format for like creative playtime, which I find it really hard to prioritize. I feel like I'm either doing like work, or I'm doing like a creative, like very, what's the word? Like a creative project that I have like a lot of kind of, which feels like very serious and like a goal and like something I'm working towards. I find it very hard to incorporate just like playing around with things creatively. And so I think doing something like that structure might be cool for that. But yes. Cool. That's amazing. Kat said, I've applied that to my creative practice since your video and works like a charm. That's great. Great minds think alike. Yeah, I would like to try it. Okay. Yeah, Laura asked, do you ever get the urge to write novels or short stories anymore? If I do, they're not very strong urges. I think I do have like one little kind of, I sometimes get like a little ping of curiosity because I've had an idea for a way that I would like to test out writing scenes, like kind of using a different kind of like seed idea, and I would like to test that at some point. But that's literally it. That's the only thing I think. Very occasionally, when because I am no longer on social media, I can actually read books again. What a concept. And so I have been reading, not terribly prolifically, but like on and off, since I left. And I am actually reading novels on occasion, which is really nice to be doing again. And sometimes when I'm reading a good novel, I get like a little tickle of like, oh, maybe it'd be nice to write fiction again. But it's never strong enough that I actually want to do anything about it, which I think is important. I also really enjoy what I'm working on right now. I have been writing, well, my poetry stuff has kind of tapered off for a little bit, but I did recently put things together. I did recently collect a little kind of like clump of my poetry to figure out what I want to do with it. So it'd be really nice to do something with that. Just depends on what other people want, or if anyone else wants it, or if I'm maybe going to do things myself with it. I don't know. But I'm really enjoying just writing non-fiction, working on my kind of design stuff right now. The occasional little snippet of poetry that's enough for me right now. And I'm kind of just trying to be okay with that. I think I've said this before, but I think it's taken me a really long time to accept that I go through different seasons with my creativity, where sometimes I feel like I'm in a really artistic, expressive kind of phase where I really want to tell a story, or I really want to express something that I've gone through, or, you know, be really imaginative and stuff. And then sometimes I get really into just the design stuff, you know, like designing systems, designing things I'm going to teach, making YouTube videos, all that kind of stuff. So I think I've been in one of those design phases for quite a while now, and I'm still there, and I don't see it ending really anytime soon, and I'm trying to just be okay with that. So yeah. Right, chat. Yes. Cool. Okay, so Siri asks, what projects are most exciting to you right now that you can talk about? I know sometimes you got to keep stuff close. Oh, that's hard. I don't know if I can talk about any of it. I don't trust myself, you guys. I don't trust myself. I can hear Pete clinking, see there. Bet he's going to the shop. What projects am I most excited about right now? I don't know if there's anything that you don't really know about, or if it is stuff that you don't know about, then I don't want to tell you, sorry. I mean, the Constellation deck is still up there, and the companion, like, guidebook. I've had to take a little bit of a pause on that recently, with moving and everything, you know, other work stuff. So I'd like to get back to that and check in on that. I guess, I don't know if it's a project, but like, it's not a creative thing, but I've really been enjoying like doing the gym stuff with Pete. We're doing strong lifts, like that program, together, and we just went back for our first session after like ages of not being able to do it properly, or not going together, or one of us being sick, or, you know, just like life getting in the way. So I finally was able to go back and like do like my first proper session in ages, and I'm excited about that. It's like, it's a whole new world that I don't really know much about, and it's been cool to like learn like weight training and stuff. And so that's my kind of corporalis project for the moment. Yeah. And then I guess like, so I think I was very hyper focused when I first moved in on the house. Like very like, I want to get all these boxes out, and I want to get like organizing, and I want to get decorating and all of that. And I think that has kind of like ebbed for the moment. Just because of time and like life getting in the way again, and things slowing down, I think. But I would really like to make this place nice, like put some more effort into, like, everything we've done so far has been purely functional. We haven't done anything aesthetic. I've got tons of art that I'd really like to hang and stuff like that. So yes, that's like a bunch of future projects that I'm like, when am I going to get to those? We'll find out. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So hello for anyone who has joined us, which I think we have had some join recently. We're doing Q&A, we're hanging out, we're just being chill. If you have just joined and you haven't already told us like what you're drinking, we always love to share that. If you've got any questions for me, things you'd like me to ramble on, any like creative or witchy or organisational dilemmas that have been haunting you, then let us know in the chat, and I can ramble on those things. And then, oh, Shashira is here, amazing. And oh, I also need to remember and tell you, or reiterate that like Constellation Clarity is open right now. That's kind of a big deal. It's our second round of this course, all about like organizing and getting your life together, and a system for that is not super overwhelming, which has taken me all of my life so far to design, but we're finally here. So yeah, so that's open for, it's at least another week. The live class is on the 16th and 17th of September. So if you struggle with these things, if you struggle with overwhelm, or like you feel like you always have too many tasks and projects and you don't know how to create routines and all of that, like it might be up your street. So do check it out. It's oh god, what is the link? RachelSteven.com/ I want to say constellation-clarity. But either way, once you go to my website, you'll be able to find it. So yes, please look at that if that's relevant to you. And last thing as well, we've had really good feedback from last session's students. So I've managed to add those to the sales page and stuff. So if you want to see like what did people think of it when I ran it last time, all that is on the sales page as well. Yes. Pleroma Prism asks, what's your paradigm of magic? I feel like I've answered this before, so I'm going to make this a short answer. I think I actually spoke about this in the last Q&A. So my paradigm came from the fact that I studied philosophy of maths in university. I studied philosophy, that was my undergrad degree, specialised in ethics, but I did an entire course on philosophy of maths, which is wild, because I'm so bad at maths. And one of the only things that I kind of still remember, or that really struck me from that, was a theory called fictionalism. So philosophy of maths is like the question of like, what is maths? Why does it work? Where did it come from? Is it like a real kind of like feature of the universe, or is it just the kind of language that we use? Like what's the deal with maths? So and there's this theory called fictionalism, which basically posits that maths and basically numbers are not real things. They're not real features of the universe. They're like a kind of helpful fiction that we use to kind of navigate things. So numbers don't really exist, but like they're this kind of helpful fiction that we've created to make it easier to navigate the world. And I kind of see witchcraft and magic as being a similar type of helpful fiction. It's a psychological construct that's helpful, because and that kind of came from a realization when I was younger. I used to be really afraid of the dark. I still do sometimes get a little spooked in the dark, depending on what kind of horror films I've seen recently. And it didn't seem to matter what I did. Like, I still had this fear of fiction, right? So like horror stories would really haunt me really badly. And it didn't matter how many times I told myself it's not real, you know, those things don't exist and stuff. Like there was that logic just wasn't reaching a part of my brain that still believed in it and was still making me afraid and was still affecting my life. And that's obviously like your subconscious, what some people call like your lizard brain. That part of the brain doesn't respond to logic. And so it didn't matter how many times I said, you know, those things aren't real, my subconscious still believed they were real on some level, and therefore it was still impacting my life. And I had a kind of light bulb moment where I was like, oh, well, if that can happen in a negative way, in that I can be afraid of things that aren't real, even though I know they're not real, then could it be positive, right? Could I like get good things out of believing in things that aren't real, even though I know they're not real? And that was kind of where it came from for me. So like, I think of it as like narrative solutions for narrative problems. There's parts of your brain that only respond to like a narrative or fiction or emotion, not logic, and witchcraft is my way of kind of like manipulating that part of my brain to have like just a better and more fun life. Yes. So for you, it's a psychological / physiological hacking tool. Yes, to put it in like in a very kind of mundane, slightly boring way, yes. I think it's just more fun. It's also just more fun that way. Like I can work with things and behave as though things are real and get joy out of that and get value out of that without literally believing that they're real, if that makes sense. Like I work with spirits even though I don't think they physically exist. Yes, it's a psychological thing, but like it still has an impact on my life. It still creates experiences that I find really valuable and really fun or insightful and stuff. So yes. Yeah, leaning into the placebo effect, as Jay Slipchi says. Yes. Yeah, philosophy for the win. Any TTRPG you're watching, playing, or enjoying at the moment? I haven't played anything in a while. I need to reschedule our Stillfleet game. Because I'm always kind of playing Stillfleet in the background, with my old group. Watching, playing, enjoying. I would really like to go back to Koriko, which is the like solo TTRPG, which is based on Kiki's Delivery Service. I don't think the full thing is out yet, but there's like a little tester of several chapters. It's like a journaling game. I'd really like, I started that a little and I'd really like to go back to it. And then in terms of watching, the only thing I'm watching right now is Dimension 20, Mentopolis. And actually this is the first season of Dimension 20 that me and Pete are watching together for the first time. Everything else he's seen, like I've already seen, so I'm rewatching. So it's kind of nice to be like watching something together where I've not already seen it. So yeah, Mentopolis is bonkers. Like I don't know how you build something that has that many layers to it. It's wild, but I'm enjoying it so far. We're not even that far through. I think we're only maybe on the second episode at the start, or we just finished the first episode. But it's fun so far, so I'm enjoying that. I know, right? Journaling game based on Kiki's Delivery Service. Sign me up. Hello to Elif. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, from Turkey. Yeah, philosophy and maths, man, it was crazy. Do you know I got a B in that somehow? You know those classes where you're like, I'm just bullshitting my way through all of this because I feel completely overwhelmed constantly, and then you get an okay grade and you're like, maybe I'm amazing at this. I don't know. That was philosophy and maths for me. So weird. Okay. Yes. So I think we have a little bit longer. So if you have any more questions, everyone, please send them in now. Any creative, witchy, or organizational dilemmas, or just general things you want to know about what's going on. And I think Anna had said, yeah, Anna asked, I often find that talking about my projects tends to drain them of energy. Does that happen to you? And if so, how do you help revitalize things? Any advice? Yes, I do also find that, which is why I've tried to stop talking about them as much. Which you might have come across me talking about in the like 10 rules, like creativity video that I did. I really struggle to still, so first of all, like ideas are like flares. Creative projects and creative ideas are like flares for me. They burn up really bright and then it's like they really fast as well. So it feels quite rare to me for something to burn up and be exciting and then for me to grab hold of it and for that to actually sustain over time. Like that feels quite rare to me. It seems to happen, I think, like when I talk about it, I like express the idea and therefore I don't really have the impetus to like actually, if I'm expressing the idea by talking about it, then it takes away from my energy and motivation to express the idea by making it. It's like it eats away at that. So for the most part, I've really just tried to stop talking about new projects and new ideas until they're more established, until I've worked on them a bit, until they've got some legs under them, or I know it's definitely going to be a thing that I finish. I try to just avoid speaking about them. In terms of like, if you've already let the genie out of the bottle, or the cat out of the bag, or the worm out of the can, I don't really know how to put that back, to be honest, because I've struggled with that as well. You could lie, you could just say you're not doing it anymore, and then do it in secret and see if that helps. I don't know how helpful that is. I also don't know that I have much advice for that in revitalizing things, because I don't know if I've actually managed to solve that for myself. So I just tried to stop talking about projects in the first place, you know, or only mentioning them to like my very close people, not announcing it online. Yeah. In terms of revitalizing things, I think like it's kind of cliche, but like just taking a break, working on some other stuff, or playing around with in other mediums or with other things, you know, shaking things up a little bit, letting something rest and then coming back to it is like, you know, a tried and true method. Yeah. Okay, Patience asks, do you have an ETA for the deck or book from the Constellation Method? I do not, I'm sorry. I'm chipping away at it, but it's also dependent on Jenny's workflow and workload as well. I need to check back in with Jenny, actually, because she was meant to have some cards for me, I think, fairly soon. But also then I was moving and stuff. So yeah, we're working away at it, but it's just a slow process, unfortunately. And oh yeah, Sunday Society asked, I forget if you said this in the video, but where do you get the half-size incense sticks? They'd be perfect for me. So yeah, they're a brand called Morning Star, but I think it's Nippon. People definitely ask this in the comments, and I definitely gave like a link to the Etsy shop and stuff that I use. But I would just like look up if there's anywhere local to you, or there's any Etsy shops that sell the Morning Star incense local to you, before buying off Amazon or something like that, because we try to avoid that over here. But yes, it's called Morning Star. Okay. Do we have any more questions? Have I managed it? Have I managed to answer everything? Let's find out. Do you practice any divination, and how does it fit into your creative process? Yes, I do. I don't know if that would count as divination. So I read cards. I read Lenormand most frequently over tarot. I sometimes play around with tarot, but I go through phases, but I'm in a big Lenormand phase right now. So you can see that in my most recent video, because I give like a whole, here's how I read and all of that in that, if you haven't seen it already. So I read Lenormand cards. I guess technically, so, okay, there's like three. That's two, three. There's three types of main focus, Rachel. There's three main types of divination that I do. Reading cards is one. Augury is another, although I've done less of that recently. That's like a monthly ritual I have, which is basically going for a walk and interpreting natural or animal signs, looking at what the magpies are doing and seeing if I can glean anything from that. And then the third, I don't know if this counts, but like astral stuff. So I will do like, basically like a visualization kind of like journey meditation, just freeform, just with music. Hop down into my like kind of astral nexus and open a door and go and visit a place, usually a being, that I want to commune with and get some kind of guidance from. So is that a form of divination? Maybe? Because I'm always going for like insight or guidance or, you know, messages, that kind of thing usually. So maybe that counts as well. Yes, good question. Someone asked earlier, but do you plan to make any more journaling or planner videos since it's been a year or so since your last one? I would like to, actually. I have been thinking, I almost thought about doing it for my last setup, but then I wanted to do that. So if you aren't on my newsletter, I recently sent out that like, I was like, I did like a little kind of aesthetic collage for my monthly spread for the first time in years this month, just because I kind of felt like it. And it was because I was basically bedbound because I had really bad period pain and I was watching old videos and stuff. So I just kind of got the urge to do that, and it was like a self-care thing kind of like at that time, and I was like, I'm in too much pain, like I can't film this right now. So I knew it just didn't make sense to film it that time. But yeah, I think I would. It depends, as all like I've always got so many videos that I want to make. I've got another video in progress right now that has been waiting to get edited for too long. So I'd like to finish that first. But yeah, I think I would like to do another journal video sometime soon. I certainly won't be like jumping back on to like doing it monthly or anything like that, but the occasional one is fun. So yes. Okay, right, this is your last call for questions, everyone. Yeah, while I check the chat to see if there's anything I've missed, which I'm sure there is. Okay, I think I've covered everything, which is wild. Cool. Sweet. Oh, where do you buy your witchy supplies? Fave shops. So my answer might not be the most applicable to other people, because I don't really like buying things online if I can help it. If I can find a version of that thing locally, I prefer to just buy in person. I will only really order online if it's something that I can't really find in person, if it's something super niche or whatever. So it's just like my local witchy shops, really. I think I've said this as well in another video, but I also like, I'm a sucker for H&M Home. Their like home section is just like all like kind of minimalist and a lot of gold, and it's just like very much my vibe. So actually kind of a lot of things on my altar are from H&M Home. But yes. Express Depressive says, no question but hi, hello. Amarine says, did you find it difficult to keep in touch with friends? I think keep in touch either friends. I think that's meant to be with friends, since you booted social media from your life. Yeah, this is something I've been thinking about more recently, is that I think I've gotten a lot out of getting rid of social media. It's cleared my headspace so much. I feel like I wouldn't be where I am in terms of what I've managed to create and stuff if I hadn't left social media. I don't want it back in my life. But it does come with a cost, unfortunately. And I think that's not because social media itself is like this magic thing that can't be replicated any other way. It's just because like I've left, but almost everyone I know is still on there, you know, and they've got their lives set up kind of pointed towards it. So I do find it, yeah, a bit harder to keep in touch with people. There's some folks that like I would really like to reconnect with that like I've drifted apart from, because we weren't necessarily that close, but like, yeah, I don't know. I think it's those like kind of like peripheral people that you're not super close, but you see their stories or whatever, and it kind of keeps you there, keeps them kind of like in your life or in your memory. That said, like I don't want to just see people's stories. I want to like actually hang out with people and you know, interact in person. So like it's not really a replacement for that. But yeah, I think it has been, I guess in a way it has been kind of isolating, which I'm still trying to figure out like how to kind of best manage that or counteract that. Is it still worth it? I think so. And I was actually just talking about this the other day. Like, it really frustrates me when, especially like brands and businesses, like only have their information like on a social media platform. Like they don't have a website, they've only got an Instagram or only got a Facebook page or something. Because I'm like, that's exactly why that is actually making it so much harder for people to leave. Like I understand if you still need to be on the platform because that's where everyone is, but you should also have a website so that people who aren't on that can still access basic information about your business. Like it's really frustrating to be like, I'm looking for like a menu for this cafe, or like I'm looking up this like shop or whatever, and it's like log into Instagram, and I'm like, can I not, please? So like I think stuff like that, people need to be a bit more, I don't know, maybe it's obviously it's just people because these people don't necessarily see an issue with the platforms. But I think the more people do that, the more it locks everyone into these, right? And the harder it makes for anyone to leave. I think like the more we create like dual ways of doing things, you know, like other places where you can get that business information or other places where you can connect with a friend or whatever, the more we create those, the less of a grip the social media platforms have on us, because the more options we have. You know, if like as a person and as a friend, if you're one of those, or if someone only interacts with their friends on social media, then everyone's going to be locked into social media to have any kind of interaction, like, which I find kind of frustrating, because obviously those of us who are leaving or have left or want alternatives, like, are trying to build those. We're like, let's talk on WhatsApp, even though that's still not great, but like it's better than Instagram, or emails, or you know, whatever it is. Like if people don't engage with that, then it's really hard to actually, you know, build alternatives, I guess. That's my soapbox rant for now. But yeah, it is an issue that comes with that. Again, I still think it's been worth it, but I don't want to like sugarcoat what it is actually like to try and divest from these things, because they are very entrenched in people's lives. And it's quite frustrating, because it's like no one seems to be having a good time in these places anymore, but we're all just still like collectively like, well, gotta be here though, you know. And it's like, well, if more of us like moved away and created things elsewhere, it wouldn't be so crucial to be there, you know. Yeah, I'm interested in your guys' thoughts on this, or if there's anyone else who has like left social media, and how you feel about it. And also I will plug Off the Grid. That podcast is like great for thinking about this stuff. Mm. Yeah, Jay Slipchi said, yeah, when I left Facebook, I missed so many events because people thought they invited me when they just mass invited friends via Facebook. That's so frustrating. Oh man. Yeah. Yeah, I also like just before I left came across like interesting events and stuff on Instagram, and had that thing of like, I wouldn't have come across this without Instagram. But eventually I just had to be like, well, I just have to find other ways to find things. You know, I'm not going to know what I've missed. One of the things I do, now is I get, I've literally got it right here. I get the Skinny, which is like a local arts magazine for Glasgow, well, for Scotland generally, I guess, Glasgow, Edinburgh, Dundee. And it has like listings for gigs and theatre and art and, you know, all that kind of thing. It has all the listings for what events are happening. And I literally have a subscription, and when it comes in, I literally go through the paper and highlight things like an old person, to see like what I might want to go to and stuff. And actually I find I really like that way of finding out what's going on kind of like locally, because it's not like constant. I'm still, you know, fine-tuning things, but I do like doing that. That's one kind of like substitute that I found. And also being on lots of newsletters, you know, like trying to find, you know, the venues or places that I'm, or organizations that I'm interested in, and getting on their newsletter instead of following them on social media. And also something that I've liked about having the Skinny, also just reading it, right, because it's like literally local creative and arts stuff. I use it for the listings, and then I also use it, that's my like gift wrap now. So like anytime I'm wrapping a present, I use the Skinny and some like cute coloured washi tape, and then I'm recycling as well, so that's nice. So that's one thing that I have found that works quite well, which is nice. Oh my god, yes, I had the same thing. Amarine said I had to create an Instagram to contact the artist for my last tattoo, and it is frustrating. Facebook is eating too much of my time, and I keep making excuses to keep it, but I think it's time. Yeah, I was trying to get a tattoo in the last 6 months or whatever. Like, I was looking to find someone for a tattoo that I wanted to get done, and literally couldn't get anything done without Instagram. Like, they're all just on Instagram, and they all just take messages through Instagram. Like, I tried emailing people and stuff, but like a lot of places now don't even allow walk-ins after COVID. I would much prefer to just walk into a place and be like, hey, do you have anyone that could do this, and make an appointment and stuff, but that's not a thing anymore. So I literally logged back into Instagram purely for tattoo stuff, and still couldn't get anything organized. It was really frustrating. Yeah, local bookstore newsletters are great as well. Yes. Yeah, and it's really nice not having Instagram ads anymore. It's really nice not getting like pulled in by like some fucking cheap shit t-shirt that I want to buy because it's got a weird meme on it or something, you know, like that's nice. But yeah, we do have to find like ways around these things, because at the moment it feels like the world is still just kind of geared towards doing everything on social media, which is not ideal. But anyway, okay, rant over. For the last time, I'll remind you, anyone else who's still here, hello, Constellation Clarity is open right now. If you struggle with overwhelmed with organising, with just having too many tasks, or not knowing how to actually get them done, how many projects do I have, how do I balance the different areas of my life, how do I actually rest? If you struggle with any of that, then it might be a good shout for you. We're open for at least another week, I think. However, if you are thinking of joining, you do have prep. Everything is pen and paper, so you need to have your stationery supplies. You need to have those to hand before we sit down for class, because you're going to be doing things with them live in class. So leave yourself some time to go gather your materials. Don't leave it to the last minute to actually, you know, enroll. If you're thinking about it, make the leap. And yeah, as I've said, like, if you want to hear what other students have said about it, we had like beautiful feedback, like truly just like makes my heart so happy. You know, multiple people have called it life-changing. That blows my mind. So we've got chat from students if you want to hear how it went for them and stuff. We've got that up on the sales page now, rachelstephen.com. Just go find Constellation Clarity. It's in the navigation. But yeah, I hope that if you are thinking about it, then you will join us for that. I hope if you're an alumni, you'll come back again and come hang out with us, because it was great fun last time. And otherwise, I think that's kind of it. I think I'll wrap it up there. Thanks for coming in to hang out and catch up and ask me a bunch of questions and let me run my throat ragged chatting away. Cool. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you everyone. Take care. Have a good rest of your day.